entire country. And I came into conflict with the head of state. And do you know what the head of state did? The head of state then, I wrote an article, he was unhappy with it. Before he arrested me, he called my father. And he said, "You are a gentleman. I am a gentleman. The two of us can talk, but what you need to do is to punish your son, who is doing the terrible thing." That was the system that operated. One. Two, the country had one city, and the city was called Mogadishu. If you needed a passport, and you lived 1,500 kilometers away, you had to come to Mogadishu. If you had a cavity, you know, cavities in your teeth, and you lived in Tromsø, you had to come all the way to Oslo. And you can imagine the problem that you had. So Mogadishu became a mini-state. So that was the second problem, about Somalia I'm talking about. And another problem that we had, was that Somalia got engaged in a war between Somalia and Ethiopia over a territorial dispute. The Somali army was defeated, and when the Somali National Army came back, the infestation, because the problem that occurred was actually quite difficult. The head of state at that time should have resigned and said, you know, I took my people to war and lost. I'm a general, as a general, you know, put down his head. He didn't. And then, as a result of that war, because Somalia you know, we were warring against all this in for 1.5 years, 2 years, we didn't grow enough food to eat. And so we became dependent on foreign aid. It's very possible. The Bishop Sumfield will obviously correct me if I'm wrong, but the Norwegian Church Aid gave food, quite a lot of it. Have I spoken for too long? Am I supposed 5 minutes? I have 5 minutes. Okay. I have 5 minutes. What do I say in 5 minutes? The problems which I have stated have therefore contributed to the collapse of the state of Somalia. The collapse of the state of Somalia. Somalis, prior to 1991, had never become refugees, go in wherever they could, because the country became, you know, the civil war made it impossible. I remember as a child, even growing up in a small little backwaters of Ethiopia, the Ogaden. I remember Palestinian families coming, hordes and hordes of them, fleeing 1949, 50, you know, coming to our homes and so on and so on. So once the civil war took place, then you had more and more problems, And we say that the problem continued to the extent where 15 countries are involved in determining the future of the Somalis. The future of the country is not in the hands of Somalis. It is in the hands of foreigners whether they are Arab, whether they're Ethiopia, whether they're Kenya or America or Italy or France or Germany. Somalis are not in a position to determine their own destiny. And the Somalis you see here are the consequence of the civil war. The consequence of the civil war. And I've just come from Africa, to which I'm going back, but you have the Somalis here who represent us in terms of language and others, but not in terms of the clothes that they wear. And I thank you very much.